Welcome to Stockholm. Today we're gonna visit a classical institution called Wedholms Fisk. It has been open since 1985 and was one of the first restaurants to receive a Michelin star in Sweden. Then operated by the legendary Bengt Wedholm, who sadly passed away in 2001. Today this institution is run by the Molinder brothers and the group Melander. They are a profound fish restaurant and you will only find one meat course on the menu. So sit back and enjoy while you, together with me, get to know this restaurant a little bit better and find out if they really are Stockholm's best fish restaurant. The dining room is spacious and bright and beautifully decorated with classical touches as the old wooden chairs and white tablecloth and burning candles. When it comes to the menu, and as I said before, you will find mostly seafood on here, and looking at the starters, there is some beautiful white asparagus that are in season right now. There's also oysters, there's bleak roe, there's scallops, and there's lobster that is gratinated, and of course you will find a plate of classical Swedish herring. When it comes to the main dishes, the menu is divided in what type of fish or shellfish that you want to have, and then you will see different creations on them throughout the menu. I was in the mood for turbo tonight, and I know they have a beautiful dish that is the Parmesan gratinated turbo together with some fresh scallops and a champagne sauce. First we were presented by a classical bread basket containing of some crispy flatbread, some sliced baguette and a rye bread. All the breads were of decent quality and were accompanied by a salted butter. I went with the white asparagus from Germany, and as you can see on the plate there are two very thick spears laying there, and it was accompanied by a butter sabayon with quite a lot of citrus notes inside, and there was also some trout roe on top. I absolutely love white asparagus, and especially when they have the grade AAA as these ones had. It's a sure sign of spring, and it's so beautiful to eat these delicious vegetables that only have a time frame of a few months in the year. Unfortunately, this dish didn't live up to the expectations I had on it. Now, this may be a subjective opinion, but I really think that when you're cooking white asparagus that you should be cooking them all the way through. I don't mean in any way here that you should overcook them, but they shouldn't be like these ones were a little bit too crispy. I also thought here that the butter sabayon had a little bit too much acidity in it. It made the whole dish a little bit unbalanced, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Luckily things changed when the main course arrived. It was an absolutely stunning looking dish with two very big pieces of turbo, expected raw weight maybe around 300 grams, two very nice fresh plum scallops, a generous amount of champagne sauce that was gratinated with the parmesan, and underneath the fish you will find spinach that was beautifully sauteed. On the side we were served some boiled rice, and you might think that that's a boring side dish to have with a beautiful main course like this, but it's absolutely not. It's actually a very smart move to have a neutral rice that is not manipulated in any way and has the function of giving a little bit more substance to the dish, but also that the rice is sucking up all of those sauces that are on the plate, which is very good indeed. Moving into the actual flavors of the dish and starting with the fish itself, two very large pieces of fish as I said before and perfectly cooked. Such a clean flavor from the turbo there and very enjoyable to eat. On the side, two pieces of scallops, perfectly cooked them also, very sweet and succulent and just heated through enough for them to give out that extra flavor profile that is so good with fresh scallops. But the real star about this dish is not actually the proteins, but the champagne sauce itself. There's a real mastery in this kitchen where I rarely have ever tasted such a fine white wine sauce in my whole life. It's so deep in flavor and it's so generous amount on the plate there, and just having the parmesan to gratinate it with, giving that last punch with some umami sensation, is just absolutely beautiful. If I were to score only this dish from this restaurant tonight, I would put that at 90 points. It's an absolutely outstanding main course and it was a true joy to eat it. Now, it's not a cheap dish to eat and I will come back to that a little bit later, but in this case you really get what you pay for. For dessert my choice was given, and when I see something that is flambéed tableside, that is what I will take, because I always like when the service staff is making a little bit of theater in the dining room itself. It was Piers today that was gonna get the flambéed action, and it was paired together with a bay leaf ice cream, some crumble and some crème anglaise. The flavors here were really good and the caramel sauce had a real depth to it, and obviously when you are flambeing something and you're using some kind of alcohol, you will get a high complexity in the caramel sauce here, so it's not only sweet, it will also deliver other flavor profiles. The pear itself was beautifully cooked and it was a generous piece of it. Now when it comes to the bay leaf ice cream, I didn't really get the bay leaf flavors at all on it. But it gave a good contrast between hot and cold, and you had a textural element underneath there and also the crème anglaise that was quite thick to give a creamy texture to it. So this was a good dessert. So now we are at the scoring, and this restaurant has been a little bit up and down there, starting from the asparagus that was a little bit of a letdown to a fantastic main course that was the absolutely highlight of the meal, and then the dessert that played a little bit in between the starter and main courses there. So the rating for the food I would place at 85 points. Coming to the scoring of the service here, and just giving a little bit of context to that, when you enter here you will see immediately that there's so much knowledge in the service staff here, and it's all consistent of over middle-aged women that have a hawk eye on everything that is going on in the dining room, and they're so precise with explaining the dishes and attentive to refilling your drinks and replacing your plates, etc. And so it's just a joy coming here and seeing a well-functioning machine when it comes to the service. And last but not least here, coming to the value scoring of this restaurant, and I'm putting the point here at 84. Now, to be fair, they are using very much high quality ingredients here, and you get a really fair amount on it on your plate. That said though, it is still very high prices here when you're looking at especially the main courses. So I guess that, I mean, if you have the wallet to spend here, it wouldn't bother you, but if you're an average person, just want to go out for a nice meal in a fish restaurant in Stockholm, you would be a little bit surprised of the high prices here maybe. So yeah. And that brings end for this episode of A Food Critic's Monologue. So thank you very much for watching, and please, if you can and if you enjoy the content, please hit subscribe and like this video, and I hope to see you next time where we'll review somewhere else. Bye bye.